Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by Helene Curtis, makers of Stopette, Suave, and Shampoo Plus A. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
Now let's meet the What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
We have a very new panel tonight. Aside from this regular, there's an old friend that we're always delighted to have whenever he can make it to be on our panel, star of television, and this summer he's going to be a star of the summer theaters, Robert Q. Lewis.
Thank you, Dorothy. It's good to see you. To my left this evening, a lady who is very famous in Hollywood as well as all over the world. I'm sure you read her column called Hollywood every day. One problem, you may not recognize her tonight because I think for the first time in her career she appears here hatless. Miss Hedda Hopper.
And on my left is a fine actor, husband, father, and every Sunday night he lights up America for General Electric, Mr. Ronnie Reagan.
And it's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce a man whose genial, kindly personality makes our living room warmer and more cheerful every Sunday night, John Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, I've got some good news for the panel. They don't have to put on their blindfolds for the first one. But we are going to be up to our old tricks. We have some nice folks here who have some very interesting occupations tonight. We have, in a substantial sense, a new panel, and we're going to do what we can to befuddle them. We'll also have our mystery celebrity before the panel a little bit later in the show. We'll meet our first challenger in just 1 minute.
This little stick can make all sorts of things vanish. But this little stick won't make perspiration vanish. Even a magician needs the big stick, the big new Stopette stick. Just a touch does it. There's white magic in this jar. The magic of pure Stopette protection in solid form. It's a refreshing deodorant, as pleasant to use as a stick cologne. Never gooey. In fact, nothing sticks with you but its protection. Unlike many deodorant sticks, Stopette checks perspiration itself. So why don't you change to
Big new Stopette stick?
only 79 cents? Or choose famous new Stopette spray or Mr. Stopette for men. Each only 60 cents. Take your pick, spray or stick. And poof, there goes perspiration.
And now to meet our first befuddler, our first challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please, sir? John? John Anderson? Is that right, sir? Where are you from, Mr. Anderson?
Forestburg, Texas.
Forestburg, Texas.
Forestburg, Texas.
Well, I never heard. Where is that near in Texas?
That's near Dallas.
Near Dallas. Well, that's wonderful country. And I've got some country over here I want you to take a look at. But will you take a look at the panel first? Fine-looking bunch of people, don't you think? Good. Now let's confuse them. Come on over and sit down with me. Now, Mr. Anderson, you know how we score this operation, do you? All right.
So.
Fine. If you think you know about it, let's let the folks at home and our friends here in the theater know exactly what your line is. come in a little bit closer, please? Thank you very much. And panel, Mr. Anderson is self-employed with that. Let's begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Oh. Well, they laughed a great deal, Mr. Anderson, and I don't know, if you were a Texas oil tycoon, I don't think they would have laughed quite so hard. Is there a product involved in your work?
Yes, sir.
There is a product.
Yes.
Is this a product with which I might be familiar?
Might
Well, we've got to find out why. Is it a product used by both men and women?
be. Yes, sir.
Is it a product that, is there something I could hold in my hand?
Yes, sir.
Might this be a... This is, am I right in assuming that this would not be a necessity? Would it fall in the area of a... Oh, I can see I'm doing very well. In the broadest possible sense, might this be considered a luxury item?
Could be.
Yes, I think we would have to describe it as a luxury.
As opposed to... Could it possibly be worn?
Could be.
Well, I would say this, that to be completely fair so that you're not too much misled, I would think that Mr. Anderson's association with it wouldn't suggest wearing, but there is another association that might make it possible, yeah.
Well, that helps so much, John.
That's
Thanks.
why I wanted it to.
And then, in other words, then, this is not anything that I would wear on a formal occasion or anything like that.
No, I would say that's safe to say. It's nothing you'd wear on a formal occasion, no.
Well, would it be, is it safe to say that it is really nothing that should be worn?
Well, now, actually, I would say this, that you are in an area that is not associated specifically with Mr. Anderson's relationship to the product, and you could become very involved unless you got away from the wearing altogether.
Hedda, I pass.
You're just a confused Confucius. Is this something that both men and women would enjoy?
Yes.
Is it something edible?
Small.
It's not a girl, John.
This is one on which, on a technicality, we might have to stand corrected subsequently, Miss Hopper, but I think it's safe to say in the relationship that Mr. Anderson has to the product, it is not considered edible. So we'll give you a no. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Rake.
Oh, I wish you'd asked a few more. If I can only think of something to ask that won't get John talking at me. Is this product manufactured?
No. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well,
Mr. Anderson, is this product ever alive?
Yes.
Is it alive when you deal with it?
Yes.
Is it in the animal kingdom?
Yes.
Do you ever work out of doors? Do you do any of your work out of doors?
Do I do work out of them?
He does some of his work out of
Yes.
doors, yeah.
I do.
Well, now here I get into, I don't know ever how many feet anything ever has. Has this animal any feet at all?
Yes.
Has it got a tail?
That's what?
Does it have a tail?
Yes.
One head?
Just one head, that's right.
Is it sort of repulsive in a way? I don't mean to you, Mr. Anderson. I mean to those of us who have never gotten to love it. I mean, it isn't like a dog or a horse or sweet like that, or
Well,
a little pig.
I think this, Dorothy. I think it's fair to say that the way you have put the question down, certainly it would never be considered repulsive by Mr. Anderson. Those who come to deal with him would not consider it repulsive, but there are some who would, I think, have some reservations about it.
Would you be surprised to find that I owned one of these things, is what I mean? Would it be unlikely?
Would you be surprised to find out that Miss Kilgallen owned one of these things?
Well, I might be.
Now, you said that this product can be worn in some field that is not particularly related to your field. Is that right?
Yes.
Is this thing scaly rather than furry?
No. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Is this thing furry rather than scaly?
Yes, indeed.
Well, you obviously breed this little animal. Is that your job? And is there a great deal of money in there must be in this operation?
Well, all these things are relative. You know, a great deal of money in Texas. It's a pittance, I suppose.
You would not be surprised you would be surprised if Miss Kilgallen owned one. I assume I would shock you too if I said that I had several dozen hanging around the house.
Yeah, if you said you had several dozen hanging around, we'd be shocked.
When this article or this live thing with which you deal reaches the consumer, does it reach him? Trying very hard. Does it reach him in is it more dead than alive when it gets to whoever is going to?
No. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Hopper.
Do you sell a great deal of this product?
Quite a few.
And the people who buy this product, are they happy with it?
Most of them are.
Do you by any chance raise skunks?
Yes!
I had one sent to me once.
Well, then, Miss
It
Hedda,
was perfumed.
this is for your future use, because I've learned something tonight. Mr. Anderson says he rubs himself all over with tomato juice to remove the odor of his skunks. So if you ever have trouble with a skunk, get a can of tomato juice.
Well, then that thing about it being edible, you must have been referring to him with the tomato juice on, not to...
Well, Mr. Anderson, we had so much fun with that. We'll throw all the cards over anyway. And thank you for being a grand guest on What's My Line. Pardon my coughing. I've got a bug. A very good beginning, panel. Now let's see what you can do with our second challenges. Here's an instance where we have 2 folks. Will you sign in, please? Who, by the way, both have the same line. Lee and Mary Ann Quinn. Is that right? Mary Ann, where are you from?
Los Gatos, California.
Los Gatos, California. Well, we have some Californians on the panel. Isn't that nice?
I do.
Come on, let's go rough them up together. You all, if you will, move in close by here and sit next to me. Do you know how we score this operation?
Yes.
Good, then let's let the folks at home, our friends here, know exactly what your line is. I will tell you that Lee and Mary Ann Quinn are self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
This isn't an official question, John, but something you usually tell us. Is it Mrs. Quinn or Miss Quinn? Are they brothers
Actually,
and
it's
sisters?
Mr. and Mrs. Quinn,
and
yes.
Mrs. And what did you say they were? Self-employed?
Self-employed.
Do you work together? Obviously
Yes.
you do. Do people watch you when you work?
Sometimes.
Is there anything amusing or entertaining about what you do?
No.
Well, I think here, if the Quinns will allow me, that it is fair to presume that for the uninitiated there would be an element of interest, of substantial interest in what they do. This is true of most human endeavor. If you're not used to it, haven't seen it before, I think you will agree that there is an area of interest, wouldn't you?
Interest, but not entertaining.
I think actually Mr. Quinn has made a very legitimate point. He said it would be interest and not entertainment. So that's 1 down and 9 to go.
Bye.
All right, Mr. Lewis.
Am I right in assuming that there, well, let's say, is there a product? Am I right in assuming there is no product connected with what you do?
There is no product.
There is no product.
Yes, there is not, no.
Then, in a sense, there is not, no, never. You then render a service of some sort.
Yes.
Am I also right in assuming that there is no formal schooling required for the type of service you render?
That's right.
You look pretty healthy. Do you work more out of doors than indoors?
Yes, we do.
In that climate, I can understand that. Would your work have anything whatsoever to do with... No, it wouldn't have anything to do with entertainment at all, would it? Would your work be instructive in any way?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Hopper.
You work outdoors. You work on the land.
Your question is you work on the land. That makes
No.
it 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Reagan.
Is what you do, is the fact that you both do the same thing, is that just because you're Mr. and Mrs., or is it something that requires 2 people?
Can't be answered yes or no. The question will have to be rephrased.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reagan.
I couldn't rephrase it to begin with. I'll start all over again. Could this service be performed by one of you without the other?
Yes, it can be.
I did rephrase it, didn't
Yeah,
I?
very good.
You know, huh? Is this service, do people come to you for this service?
Sometimes, not always.
No, I think here, by the terms of reference, which are normal on this show, we would have to agree that while to initiate the service there might be a contact to the Quins, that actually the Quins go to the service. So that's been 4 down and 6 to go. Sorry, Ronald. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
If you don't work on the land, do you work either on or in the sea or in the air?
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that if you don't work on the land, you work on or in the sea or in the air.
Never safe to assume anything with you, John. All right. Is it other than in the air?
You mean on the sea or under it? Or
Or
America?
in or around it?
Yes, well, there we are. 5,
Oh, it's
5,
there.
Mr. Lewis.
Do you work in the air?
Sometimes.
You work in the air. Do you have anything to do with transportation?
No. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Hopper, and I'm going to give you 1 minute because I think you're lost on this one.
When you work in the air, do you work with animals in the air?
No.
No.
That's 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Reagan.
You work up in a tree.
Up in a tree?
No.
Wait a minute. Let's have a small conference. Yes, they're sometimes up in a tree, sure.
Do you possibly do something for the health and welfare of the tree?
No.
No, that is not the basic assignment there. 8 down and 2 to go. Miss Dorothy has
Do you
one.
have anything to do with stunts or anything dangerous?
No.
Oh,
Not really.
no. And I'm going to ring down the curtain. Yes, Bob, you have an idea?
Just a hunch. Anything like house painting or something like that?
Steeplejacks, you're close.
Not that.
And actually, in their steeple work, they sometimes have to top a tree, so that's why you got close to it, Ronald. Yes, Miss Kilgallen.
I don't understand about the tree.
Well, sometimes when they're working on a steeple, if a tree is impinging on the steeple, maybe pounding a hole in it, they have to top the tree. So they go up the tree and top it, you see?
I would
And you
say
try
that-
to top that. Bingo. Well, you fixed it. Thanks very much.
Just yesterday in Yonkers they did that.
Just yesterday in Yonkers, they topped the tree. Now, there you are. So, topped a tree.
They topped a tree?
Yes. Is
I
that...
thought maybe you
I don't know why we
flew
didn't get
horses
it.
No.
in planes.
No, it was in the way of a flagpole we had to paint for the school district in Yonkers. And they couldn't see the flag, and they couldn't get the flag up through the tree, so we cut the tree out of the way.
Steeplejacks also got flagpoles. You see, you learn a lot this way, don't you? Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Quinn. It was nice having you. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from Helene Curtis.
I've got those after shampoo blues. my hair so fly away, as dull and as dry as can be. So what can I do about my after shampoo blues? Is there any hope for me? Get Suave, you Suave, condition with Suave. Your hair will be lovely with Suave.
You'll never sing those after shampoo blues if you use Helene Curtis Suave hairdressing. Just a little Suave and your hair comes to life. It's soft, manageable, sparkling with bright highlights. Never any oily look or feel. For only Suave contains greaseless lanolin. Choose liquid or cream.
That's good advice. Millions of women have found that Suave is the perfect hairdressing. But I wonder if you men know about Suave for Men. This is the luxury hairdressing for men. Believe me, once you try it, you'll never go back to ordinary hairdressings. Suave for Men has a pleasant aroma that you'll go for. And like Suave for Women, it's remarkably free from greasiness. Yes, now there's a Suave for everyone in the family. Suave for Men in the handsome alligator-grained squeeze flask. And for the ladies, liquid Suave, or the new Suave Cream. 59 cents to $1 plus tax.
Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my friends on the panel are all blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, John.
And very pretty blindfolds, too, gals. So will our mystery challenger please come in and sign in? In the case of our mystery challenger, we go to a different pattern of questioning. You ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin it all with Mr. Reagan.
I assume that you're in the entertainment business.
That means yes. Miss Kilgallen?
Is it performing, theater, television, or movies versus sports?
That's yes, too, Mr. Lewis.
Most of the girls I go out with don't whistle. Are you a fella?
That is a rather mild-type wolf whistle, and that makes him a fella. So that's a yes. Miss Hopper.
Are you a motion picture star?
That's no. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Reagan.
Do you perform some particular talent, or when you perform, is it singing?
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is that a yes or a no?
That was a no.
Oh. He doesn't sing? He's not in the flicks. Are you on television?
Mr. Lewis?
Do you have a regular show on television?
That's yes. Miss Hopper?
How did you get it? How did I? No.
Ah.
I need some help. No, sorry.
Regular show. You're on every week, then?
Yeah.
That's yes, Mr. Reagan.
You're on every week. Is your show a comedy show?
I will say that this is an area which, in strict terms, gives our guest and also gives me some trouble. It is on occasion extremely funny. On other occasions, it's not meant to be funny. So it's 6 up and a half a dozen down, Mr. Reagan. Miss Kilgallen?
Are you a master of ceremonies in any sense of the word? Phrase?
Yeah, I guess you could say it.
Mr. Lewis?
You're a master of ceremonies in a sense. Are you also noted for another specialty in the arts, such as singing, dancing, band leading, or something of that sort?
Nope.
Miss Hopper? That makes it 3 down and 7 to go.
Are you Edgar Bergen?
Oh, heavenly days. You can't get away with the thing anymore. Nope, that's 4 down and 6 to go. Mr. Reagan.
Are you currently appearing in New York in addition to your television? I mean, in a club or a theater?
No.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, are you in New York more than in any other city?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Are you in New York more than...
He's not
The
in
question
New
was,
York.
are you in New York more
I
than any
see.
other city? And the answer was no.
Then your show, of which you are MC, would originate out of New York, perhaps in California. Is your show of the quiz type?
Yeah, some.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Some. Yep. Miss Hopper?
Quiz time.
Type.
You couldn't be Bob Cummings.
Nope. 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Reagan. Well, we have about a minute to go, panel.
Oh. Do you have a family in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Miss Kilgallen?
Could I have an interpretation of that question from Mr. Reagan? Because I don't know who has a family in Los Angeles and who he means. All right, I'll pass to Bob.
I think I know. Were you in New York tonight? In the first place, are you pretty darn great? Secondly, do you need a replacement? And were you in New York tonight
Come on,
to
say the
introduce, to MC a spectacular somewhere on another network?
Say the name.
Art Linkletter.
Art Linkletter. I'm going to tell the story, if I may, Art, before you leave us. Miss Hopper and Art were on the same plane coming over, and Art looked at her very seriously and said he was going to be on another network right opposite her tonight. Wasn't that wonderful? And he was right opposite, but not another network. Thanks very much, Art. On your way to Europe, have a grand time, and would you say hello to Carol? Good to see you. And now, before our panel says goodnight, here is a word from next week's sponsor.
Hey, I just bought the greatest gift for my dad for Father's Day. It's the world's only 2-in-1 shaver, the Remington Auto Home Shaver. Plug it into your car's cigarette lighter socket and shave wherever you go. Or use it every morning at home. It works on both home and car voltage to give Dad cleaner, more comfortable shaves. That's the Remington Auto Home Shaver. I hope I get one for graduation.
Well, it's a lot of fun, Miss Hedda, to catch somebody like we caught you, having ridden all the way from the coast with Art. We had a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself, because it was nice having both you and Ronald with us, and you did very well. Until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Dorothy.
Good night, John. Last thing Arlene said before she left was, don't let them be too good. I'm afraid I did. Good night, Bob. See you next week.
Righto. Good night. And see you next week, Hedda Hopper.
Thank
Please wear a hat.
Oh, no, they won't let me. Thank you very much. Good night, my darling. Are you going right back to the coast?
I'm going home, so I'll see everybody next week, but I'll be seeing them from out there. And incidentally, I understand that next week in this chair, I know all of your viewers will be very happy to learn that you will have a return engagement of Eamon Andrews, the moderator of the British What's My Line.
Fun
now,
to be
good
there.
night, John.
All right. Good night, Ronald. And by the way, to get everybody straight, Arlene is on the coast. Bennett Cerf is in Europe. And from all of us, thank you for being with us on What's My Line.
Travel arrangements on What's My Line are made through American Airlines. American Airlines supplies our contestants luxurious comfort aboard DC-7 flagships. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network. Be sure to see the other Helene Curtis television programs, Caesar's Hour and Dollar a Second.